Hey everyone, my name's Melissa Farley. I'm new to the YouTube space. I don't even know if anybody's going to see this, but do want to start doing videos kind of regularly. And one of the series that I want to do is sort of a Soulful Sunday video series where I just kind of talk about what's on my heart, geared towards mindfulness and well-being and health. And the topic I really wanted to talk about today was my experiment felt like an experiment experience with Mounjaro. And the reason that I want to talk about this is I've been really open and honest and kind of public about it um, on Instagram and on Facebook, but I thought it was worth kind of a deeper conversation on a long form video because there's so many articles right now coming out sort of touting Mounjaro and Wegovy and Ozempic as like these miracle drugs. And like, I'm not here to give medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm literally just talking about my experience. But it's really complicated, and obesity is complicated, and these medications are complicated. And so I feel like the more information that people can have, the better. So for me, I'm a 4'10" woman. And I got up to, yes, 4'10". I'm legally a midget. Anyway, I'm 4'10", and I got up to about 157 pounds. And that is obese and like concerningly obese for my size. And the reason it was such a health concern for me is I have a genetic kidney disease called polycystic kidney. And so, anything that makes my kidneys work harder is like a no-no, and obesity makes your kidneys work harder. So I had both my nephrologist, which is my kidney doctor, and an endocrinologist, which works on the endocrine system, thyroid, diabetes, all that stuff. Really kind of putting a lot of, I guess pressure is a good word, to get my weight in check. I was hesitant to go the medication route because I had tried phentermine in the past, which is kind of an old school weight loss drug, and had a horrible response to it. My body, like, just did not handle it well. I actually plummeted my kidney function when I was on phentermine. I started having really weird, like, gut responses to it. I was getting like anal bleeding. Like, it was really bad for me, the phentermine was. And so I got off of that. I did lose weight, but I got off of it early. I couldn't even finish the recommended like 3-month treatment span. And so I was hesitant to try another med, but what had happened was, even before I reached 157, I was like hovering mostly like right under 150 pounds, and that's still heavy for me. But I broke my fibula, my like one of my lower leg bones, on a trip, and so I was down for months and months and months. I couldn't walk, I couldn't put pressure on it, or weight on it. And so that's when I gained sort of like that additional 10 pounds. And that's when the obesity became a really big concern. And I couldn't lose weight. So I was like trying to eat, healthy, like a regular amount, and working with a nutritionist even for a while. And I was active and trying to move my body. And I wasn't dropping a pound, like not even a pound. And so I take a couple meds that can cause weight gain. One of them is Lexapro for depression. Another medication that I take is called orthotricycline low. It's a birth control that can also cause weight gain. And then unofficially, I take well, I don't unofficially take it. The side effect is unofficial. I take a injection called Emgality, which is for chronic migraine. It gave me my life back. That changed my life. I'm not willing to go off of it, But I swear to you, I gained like 15 pounds once I started taking that injection. And the reason I said unofficial before is because like it's not listed as an official side effect. But if you look up Emgality and women weight gain, you'll find forums of lots of women having the same experience that I've had, and women that have had to get off of it because they're like in the military and being told they need to lose weight. And so I'm fairly convinced that a solid like 15 pounds is from Emgality, but like I said, I'm not willing to get off of it for that reason. Um, because it's so crucial to just like me being able to function in regular life. So, okay, so all of this leads up to me deciding, okay, let's go ahead and give one of these weight loss drugs a try. Well, I'm kind of considered like pre-diabetic, pre-diabetic, so I couldn't get a prescription for Ozempic, and I couldn't get a prescription for Wegovy, but I had a doctor tell me that Mounjaro was sort of in this experimental phase, that they were seeing really good success, even more success than Wegovy, that they were trying to fast track with the FDA, with the FDA to get approval, and that this was really something looking that I should pursue. Now, right away, it was hard. I could not get a prescription for it. My insurance would not cover it. Like, they don't cover anything in that class of drugs for weight loss medications. If it's prescribed for diabetes, then you can get a prescription for it. But if you're not, it's just a no-go. And I ended up going to a woman who specialized in like allergy treatments and weight loss treatments. And she was able to kind of get me enrolled in this prescription plan that they had where at least for a certain amount of time, I think it was like about a year or so, that I could get the prescription for $25. This ended up getting challenged a couple months down the way when they did go ahead and apply for that fast track with the FDA, and they had to change their terms for the coupon. And then again, you had to have a diabetes diagnosis to continue to get it filled. So people have been hitting kind of these roadblocks to get their prescriptions filled, period. I don't know how that's going to change as the FDA gets more accepting of these kinds of medications, and if insurances will start covering them, but it was, at least at the forefront, pretty rocky. And then on top of that, as a sort of option, there were some specialists like the one I was seeing that were trying to be mindful of that. And so they were working with compound pharmacies to kind of mix the active ingredient in Mounjaro with like B12 or something. And that, like, you could get your shots for that, which is like you do it once a week. So it's, 4 shots for a month, and at one doctor's visit, and it was going to be like $240 or something like that, as sort of a flat fee that you would pay outside of your insurance. So, it was already a little bit intense, but the thing about it was I started on it, and the first month or two was not that bad, and they started me on a low dose and worked me up, and I was very thankful for that. They started me at like 2.5 milligrams, went up to 5, went up to 7.5, 10, and so on. A lot of doctors will just start you at like 10, but my body is pretty sensitive, and again, because of some of my health risks, we wanted to sort of try introducing it to the system slowly, and I was so glad that I did, because one of the side effects they talk about a lot is nausea. I got probably when I got on 7.5 was when the stomach stuff started getting pretty bad for me. It was weird because I don't know that I would have described it as nausea, as more just like upset stomach and discomfort, to the point that I just didn't want to eat. And so one of the big reasons that I was losing weight long term was because I just didn't want to eat. I did not have an appetite at all. And I think that, for my not my first month, but my second month, I was throwing up food. I was having diarrhea too. And those symptoms did kind of go away, but that upset stomach stayed. And I don't know how other women handled this, how, I can't, again, I'm not a medical professional. I won't speak for anybody else. But for me, I never wanted to talk about how much my stomach was bothering me really because I was losing weight. It was working and I wanted to be able to keep taking it, and so I would tell her, yeah, I'm a little nauseous, and she gave me something for the nausea that constipates you, by the way. So it's always one of those, like, you solve one problem, you create another. So it got to the point where I started getting worried because I knew that I wasn't consuming enough calories for any given day. And I was trying to actually set reminders to like eat, um, to like take in nutrients. Now, this might sound like, okay, I want you to keep in mind, like, I'm Italian. I love food. I love food. Food was like a great joy in my life. It was something that I just loved. And so to not have any appetite, desire for food at all was odd. And another thing that happened that was odd was I got, again, this is not an official side effect that I'm aware of. I got like super smell. Like I got a superpower sense of smell. Everything smelled so strong to me. And on the one hand, it was kind of cool because like there were a couple things like popcorn. I never feel like I fully appreciated or tasted popcorn until I had it on Mounjaro. But there were other things, other foods that I used to really enjoy. Like, one of the lean cuisines I really liked for a long time was the fettuccine alfredo lean cuisine. That smelled so awful to me when I was on Mounjaro. I couldn't have it anywhere near me. I couldn't eat it. And to give you an idea of how little I was eating, I had trouble finishing like a lean cuisine. Okay, so like that, again, when I talk about like portions not wanting to eat, that's what I'm talking about. So anyway, I was on it though for several months. I thought I was kind of having the normal experience, and then I got pretty sick. And um, and two other things started happening. One is I started getting a pretty bad rash at the injection site. It was like a hive. It would go away, but it was pretty itchy, when I had to deal with it. But the bigger thing that happened to me that made me start considering getting off of Mounjaro was Mounjaro makes your birth control ineffective. It does not work. And not just the like actual birth control method of stopping a pregnancy, but it messed with all the hormones too. And so I experienced what's called PMDD, premenstrual dysphoria, for the first time in my life. And for those that have never experienced this, it's like PMS on steroids times 1,000. It is like the worst experience, emotionally and mentally, that I have ever gone through. It's horrible. You get like temporarily suicidal. You feel like you're not in control of your own thoughts. Um, you, I was like crying at the drop of a hat, and then I'd be angry the next second. Like it was, and it would go away. I mean, I would be like that for like 24, 40 hours, and then it just would go away. And that was just a normal, that was PMDD. I didn't know what it was. I had to call. I talked to my psychiatrist actually because I have chronic depression. I've been treated for that for a long time. But she knew exactly what was going on, talked me through it. And one of the only treatment options, one of the only things that makes it better is hormonal birth control. So I was like, okay, if this is the effect that Mounjaro is going to have on me, I really need to think about this because I can't do this long term. I don't want to have this experience every month. Not only that, but my periods were so irregular. I was getting them just randomly. I couldn't plan like to expect them. It was just really screwed that whole part of everything up regarding my cycle. Right around that time when I was starting to consider this was when they changed their prescription program for the coupon, and I was going to possibly have to start paying a lot of money, at least that $240 for the specialist every month. And I was trying to decide if that investment was worth it. But my second time after experiencing PMDD, I was like, no, I'm going to come off. And I had reached my goal weight by then. I did lose 35 pounds. Here's what the other thing that I wanted to talk about with this drug that nobody talked to me about at all. They brought up the concern of Mounjaro itself causing issues with your pancreas, with pancreatitis. So I was acutely aware of that, worried about that. Nobody talks to me about the gallbladder. Nobody. And so it's New Year's Day, New Year's night. We had a great dinner. We went out to a very nice dinner, my husband and I and his parents. And we go to bed that night, and 2:30 in the morning I wake up and I'm having this really weird stomach pain, like really, really weird. And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and starts feeling like excruciating pain in my back, in my stomach, in my chest. And one of the things that they told me about pancreatitis is you feel it in your back, and it did. It felt like I was getting like a saber like sword was getting like plunged into my chest cavity, to the point where I was like having a hard time breathing. And I knew that women like experience heart attacks different. I did not know what was going on. So finally, after like 3 hours of trying to like tough it out, hoping it would go away, I wake up my husband at like 5 something and tell him I think I need to go to ER. So we go to ER. They can't find anything wrong. Send me home after kind of just pumping me through some pain meds and some nausea meds and throwing a bunch of stuff up, put an IV in me. We go home. I am thinking that's just a one-time thing. It happens again. I go back to the hospital, same thing. Don't find anything. Tell me I have maybe a little bit of sludge in my gallbladder, but nobody seems that worried about it. You know, they tell me to go see a specialist. It takes so long to get into a specialist. ERs are tricky now because basically if they assess that it's not going to cause you like immediate death, they won't admit you, and gave me no, direction of what was going on with my body, what I should think, anything. They like brought up my blood pressure and said they were concerned about my blood pressure. I should see a doctor for that. And I was like, dude, I've literally been in pain for 6 hours. Of course, my blood pressure is high. So let me tell you about my gallbladder experience. I would get the pain, and it starts up high, and again, it just, my whole back, my stomach is on fire. It's burning, it's hurting. You're vomiting. Doesn't make any difference when you vomit. It doesn't help, doesn't make it feel better. Basically, what you're trying to get out, what only helped me was when I would throw up literally straight up bile. It's like the yellow stomach acid. It looks like orange juice. As soon as I was able to throw that up, and for some reason it usually took like 6 hours to get to that point, 4 to 6 hours. Until then, I would be in excruciating pain. And I couldn't lay down. I couldn't relax. I couldn't do anything. If I laid down, it would get worse. So a lot of times I would be up like pacing. The last time we went to the hospital, my body was actually starting to go into shock. Like that's how bad and deep and intense the pain was, and for how long. My husband in his mind kept thinking that I just had like acid reflux. But it was pretty bad and we couldn't get it to go down. So he ended up doing like a telehealth appointment, and the doctor took one look at me and was like, you are a very sick woman. You need to go to the hospital right now. And on the way, I literally looked at him and I said, if I die, I love you. Like that's how bad the pain was. Because I just didn't know what was going on. Anyway, they still didn't admit me, which is infuriating and a whole story in and of itself. But I ended up calling and kept calling to find cancellations, and got into a specialist. They were able to look at my scans from the hospital, from those same hospital scans, and determine that my gallbladder was severely inflamed. It was leaking, and I had multiple stones. And so I got set up with a surgeon and had my gallbladder out. And one of the first things he told me was that even like there's no way to know if Mounjaro caused this. I'm not claiming that Mounjaro caused this, but one of the things that's really common is that if you lose weight too quickly, which I did, I lost weight. I lost 35 pounds in about 3 months. That's 10 pounds plus each month. Your body likes to lose at about 2 pounds a month. That's what it's comfortable at to keep regulating normally. I was losing, more than 3 times that amount per month. That in itself could have triggered a gallbladder attack. And I wish somebody had told me that. I wish somebody had explained that to me, that that's what happens with the body and that it's normal, and to expect that and what to do if that happens. I felt so unprepared and uninformed, and it was such a terrible, terrible experience. So for the last week building up to my surgery, no, it was more than that, probably 2.5 weeks, leading up to my gallbladder surgery, I was living off of mashed potatoes, white rice, a little bit of chicken, jello, and fat free pudding. Those were the only things I could keep down. Anything else was triggering a gallbladder attack. Vegetables were triggering a gallbladder attack. Soup was triggering a gallbladder attack. Literally, those were the only things I could eat. It was a while before my body regulated again. And, people ask me, do I regret that experience? I don't know. And that's the honest answer. I don't know if I regret being on Mounjaro because it did work, but it also made me really sick. It caused me to not eat. It caused me to have some nutritional issues that came up. And, you know, either directly or tangentially, it did cause me to have a gallbladder failure, which led to my gallbladder removal. And so I'm not like totally against these drugs. I'm not against pursuing weight loss help and assistance. But I just want people to know all of the possible complications and things that their body are going through when you decide to take something like this to assist in weight loss. I also think it's important to have conversations about obesity. It's so insensitive to go into a doctor's office and have them tell you you're obese and like, it's just such a casual, thing they throw at you, and you feel sort of like, slapped across the face. These are not easy things for people to hear. And there's so many different reasons why somebody can be obese, and it's not just like, I've had so many people reach out to me on Instagram and be like, weight loss is easy, like just eat less calories and you'll lose weight. Well, no, that is not how it works. It's not how it works. Just like depression, it is a chemical imbalance. That's why certain people need to take medication for depression. Certain people's bodies process foods and nutrients differently. And it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you work out 7 times a day. It doesn't matter if you're eating the right things and working with a nutritionist. I still couldn't lose weight. So, I think what it did for me was confirm to me again just how much you have to be your own advocate and ally, and how much you have to listen to your own body and be honest with yourself about what your body is experiencing, and not go by the norms or like what the doctors say. You have to really trust yourself and be an active participant in your medical care. And the other thing that it did too is help me be more empathetic and more understanding of what people with obesity go through. And this was something that I brought up, right? Like, I was treated different when I was fat, or obese. I should say obese. I was treated different. I was looked at different. I was given different care, even, and acknowledgement, like by sales reps when I would go clothes shopping. Like, I noticed a very distinct difference in how people treat me when I was at 157 pounds versus when I'm at 120 pounds. And that's wrong. That is so wrong. And that is something that we can absolutely change as a society. And I I want to work towards being a more gracious, uh, loving, affirming human being that would not place someone's value on their physical appearance or their physical weight or their physical ability or anything related to the physical, because it's so hurtful and it's so damaging and demotivating to experience that. And so I really learned that lesson from this experience. I don't know if I would go on, Mounjaro or something similar again if I needed to. Right now, what I'm doing, in case you're curious, is, I finally got my health into a good place. I do still need to do some blood work to see where all my levels and stuff are at, but I'm able to work out. I'm being active. I'm moving my body every single day, even if it's just going for a walk. But I am moving my body every single day. We are meal prepping. I'm not counting calories. I'm not doing that, but I'm trying to eat as much like whole foods, unprocessed foods as possible. Walnuts, healthy fats like avocados. And I assume that I'm going to gain a chunk of the weight back again because of the meds that I'm on and just how my body works. I've already gained back 5 pounds to me, that doesn't surprise me because I literally like hardly was eating anything. So of course I'm going to gain some weight back. Um, but the whole purpose is to be healthy and whole and be able to do the things that I love. It's not about that number on the scale. And so, every time I've done this now with phentermine, with Mounjaro, my kidney function has gone down drastically, at least 20 points. It's not worth it. It recovers, it heals because my kidneys are okay still right now. But to me, keeping my kidneys healthy, keeping me healthy, that's the important thing. And that's going to be with a more sustained approach. So, if Mounjaro, Wegovy, Ozempic work for you, congratulations. I've read so many women that don't have any side effects and don't have any complications, and that's great. I was not one of them. And not only was I not one of them, but there was so little information available about this new class of drugs and the experiences that I went through that it was hard to feel supported or know what was going on. So I hope by sharing my experience, that you at least have more information to think about. And thanks for listening. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm always super open, and we'll chat with anyone who is curious about Mounjaro further or wants more information. And I wish you so much love and blessings and, only good things on your journey with if you're trying to lose weight or just become a healthier person. Um, be kind to yourself, be good to your body, and don't compromise your long-term health for short-term results.